Let's talk more about what will get travelers back on the Boeing 737 MAX. Joining us now, former Spirit Airlines CEO Ben Baldanza. Nothing like a little time to put between the two incidents and then flying thousands of flights. And how long will that take? You think by the end of 2021 that the flying public, it won't be in the front of their mind that they're on a 737 MAX?
I think that's right, Joe. You know, the public has relatively short memories. If you remember, the 787 airplane had batteries that blew up on it. Now, that plane didn't kill people, but people get on 787s all the time and don't think about the batteries blowing up. I think that customers want low fares, they want reliable on-time flights, and they don't necessarily think about what is the specific airplane I'm getting on. Now, the first couple flights, because they'll be covered heavily by the media and because the airline will be allowing people to rebook, will get some maybe avoidance. But I think after a few months, this is just going to be another plane in the air that people board and don't think about it.
They'll be reminded, obviously. There's some people that have already probably aren't completely up to speed on the travails of the 737 MAX, but as we just noted, we're going to be talking about it. People are going to be talking about the return to service. So I would figure that the number of people that have worries will spike initially and then slowly come down again. But all with the COVID as a backdrop, which makes it, you know, that's another variable that goes into the equation.
That's exactly right. And, you know, if you look at the investigation into the crashes, it highlighted two primary things: an engineering issue with the airplane and a training issue with the airplane. And both of those things were very actively addressed in the time this plane was grounded and by the airlines that fly the plane and Boeing. So I think that the likelihood of additional issues with this airplane are really behind us. I think Phil's going to have a great flight to LaGuardia, actually.
Yeah. What was the fix, and are you confident that everything that needed to be done has been done in terms of pilot training and software and modification?
Well, I'm certainly confident that Boeing and the oversight regulators have addressed the right issues. One issue was with the software that automatically affected the pitch of the airplane. That's been changed in a couple of ways, adding additional sensors that can check each other. The original airplane only had a single sensor, and if it froze, the system didn't work. It also doesn't move the plane quite as much. And the bigger issue is now pilots are going through simulator training to learn about how this system really works. In both of the crashes, it was identified that the pilots knew what was happening but didn't know how to stop it from happening. And that is now being addressed proactively in the simulator training. That's new costs for airlines to have to train their pilots more for this plane than Airbus flying airlines, for example, have to train their pilots to fly the A320neo, which is the competitor airplane to this. But it's good for that pilots are doing this now, and I think the airlines are addressing it correctly.
Is the FAA going to be able to rebuild its reputation? What does it have to do to have an arm's length from the manufacturers and carriers and everything else?
That's a great question. You know, that's going to take some time. Obviously, the FAA had a bit of egg on its face with this issue because they certified this plane when it had the issues that we've learned after two very unfortunate crashes that it had. I think one of the reasons it took this plane so long to come back, over 200 days, as Phil reported, is because they wanted to be absolutely sure. They knew that because they had certified it too early, they wanted to make sure that every I was dotted and T's were crossed on this issue. So I think the long time of delay is evidence of the fact that they took this really, really seriously and we're going to do it right. The engineering fix was probably made relatively quickly. They probably understood that pilots had to be trained more relatively quickly, but they took a long time codifying those rules and testing.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.